it is 5:15 on September 6, 2022. I will call the meeting to order. Jane, will you roll call?
Shaven.
Here.
Kroger. Here. Peterson.
Here.
Lindbergh.
Here, via Zoom.
Rudolph.
Here.
Thank you.
We've all been given a agenda. I don't think there's any additions, deletions. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second. Motion by Peterson, second by Shaven.
Roll call. Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindbergh.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
And you can state any conflicts along the way if you have any tonight. And the consent agenda, these are all under one motion. The minutes for the August 16th, 2022 council meeting. Also for the August 24th, 2022 special council work session, and then the 24th special council meeting. Claims list 1273 in the amount of $162,355.79. And under that, Jane, I guess there's always a few larger amounts.
Yeah, we had fuel and
Yep. Ag fuel, our utilities, HMU, our health insurance, and some innovative renovations, which is concrete and gutter work at the Vets Auditorium. So those were our four major ones in there.
Okay. And then the new application for Casey's 1006 Chatburn Avenue, Harlan Class E liquor license, Class C beer permit, and a Class B wine permit. Is there a motion to approve those?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Kroger, second by Rudolph.
Roll call. Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindbergh.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
And then under other business, first up is we need to consider appointing someone to fill the council member seat in Ward 4. We had two very good applicants we met with last week, talked with, discussed a couple things. You guys have had some time to think about that. Two very good candidates. I'm glad I'm sitting in the mayor's chair. Two good people, 50-50 shot at it. That I think they both are, very willing to serve, sounds like. And I don't know if anybody else has any other things to talk about, but otherwise I guess I would entertain a motion, I guess, to appoint one of those two.
Make a motion to appoint R.J. Bealenberg for Ward 4.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
So I'm just going to do a roll call. Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindbergh.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Motion approved.
thanks guys.
R.J. Bealenberg.
Welcome, RJ.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations.
And that's-
I can swear you in sometime next week, and then you join us for the next council
Perfect.
meeting.
Excited to get started in Alabama, where I came.
New guy has to bring cupcakes to everybody.
You know what? I'll talk to Leslie, and I'm sure she can make up some cupcakes. You guys can make cupcakes.
We're kidding.
Oh, I like cupcakes.
Well, congratulations. That's it. I'll reach out to Ruth Ann. You probably can too. We appreciate people that apply. It's a part of the process. And she has been someone who's volunteered on lots of different other ones, and I appreciate her putting her name in for this one. So,
And we would just reiterate that this will fill the remaining, till the next general municipal election, which would be next November, so would serve through December 31st, 2023.
okay.
So approximately a year and 4 months.
We'll have a few names on that ballot. next
Yes,
year.
there will
Yes,
be.
there will be.
Okay. Next up then, we need to review the downtown upper story facade grant completion award to 1024 6th Street in the amount of $14,013.50. I think that's Lee and Marie's. It looked like That one, she spent quite a bit on windows, looked like, and some other things. So I feel like Roger signed off on that already. So it's been taken care of, done.
And picture, in your
Couple
packet
pictures, yeah.
was, in your packet, this was for the new cycle that began July 1st, and they were ready to roll on this one. And essentially it was all the upper windows, which were replaced. So that's the before picture. You can see the old metal frame and where all of those were. This is an interior picture, so the interior, it is occupied, of course, so they're very pleased with the interior finish work. And then I think we had this is, you can see the new exterior clad versus the old aluminum and more energy efficient. So all those upper story windows were completed with this project.
Looks very nice.
And they submitted all the required paperwork and had been inspected.
So is there a motion to approve that?
A motion.
Second. Motion by Rudolph, second by Shaven.
Roll call, Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
Number C is review the downtown facade grant completion award for 516 Market Street for $5,500. I think this one's Randy Rasmussen's building down there. He did he had pictures in our packet.
This is in your packet as well, to share with the public and review these. Based upon his linear feet of storefront, was eligible for up to $5,500. This is how that's determined. This is the before photo. You can see the old solid panes, essentially just the aluminum frame. And then here's the post. You can see all new door, new thermal panes. Also, this was also done, I believe, by Red Oak Glass, which has done a lot of the other doors and windows with the other buildings as well.
Did they do the uppers too then, Gene? I saw there were some pictures of those. Were those this,
No.
just the down,
Yep, just
the ground floor?
Yep, it was all
The awning?
these 4 windows and the new door.
Looks nice.
Looks nice. Is there a motion for that one?
Motion.
Second. Motion by Kroger, second by Shaven.
Roll call, Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
And then review the 2022 annual TIF indebtedness certificate, which
So,
we just received.
yeah, sorry.
Little glitch in the,
That was to be included in the packet. So these projects are projects that are listed in our urban renewal plan, and they're in our TIF districts, so they're eligible for tax increment financing, and we're able to recapture some of that expense. If you turn to page 2, the total was $316,521 that will submit to the county. The Shelby County Developed Source, that $13,127, that was for maintenance, repairs, operating costs like that we've done out there. Now that we've sold it on the 1st, we won't have all those expenses. Number 2 was the Shelby County Developed Source, and that's the amount that we pay yearly to SCCI, and it's $27,500. Number 3 is the outdoor downtown sound system, and that is just a yearly charge that we're charged for the
Maintenance and
yeah,
subscription.
the fee, $360. The Harlan, the HCCE is the difference between ag and residential taxes. This is an agreement that was made with Pete Linen years and years and years ago,
The development
in
agreement.
which the city would reimburse the difference of what the ag taxes would be versus what the residential taxes would be. And he pays that, and then the assessor's office computes that and lets us know what that difference would be, and that's where this $1,672 comes in. Number 5 is 2020 bond payments, and that's the amount that can be TIF captured in that bond. That bond was split into 3 different categories: sewer, general, and TIF. And so this is only the TIF portion that we can recapture. The next page, the Hanson House project, that's year 2 of a development agreement, and that is done now. That's $19,250. The 7th Street Bridge, number 7, $51,737. So this amount is only the city cost portion that wasn't reimbursed by a grant. So we can't double dip. We can't TIF for the amounts that the cost of the entire bridge, because the grant paid for the major portion of that. So we can only TIF what is the city portion. So that's where that $51,000 came up. Number 8, the downtown upper story facade. That's 2 of them we approved tonight, and so $45,136. These are monies, remember, that have already been spent. So we're recapturing that money that has been spent. Number 9, the Harlan Plaza, that $15,100. That's another agreement that's been in place for years and years and years, that Pete was being reimbursed $15,100 for a number of lots. And I think there's 2 left. 2 left, maybe.
1 or 2.
1 or 2, yeah. So,
We fulfill that agreement.
welcome sign, that is supposed to be the 80-20%, 80% paid by the grant, 20% by city. We've only been turning in the 20% in which we've spent, and this was engineering fees. Now, if that project doesn't go through that process, we'll go back and capture the other 80% of what we've expended. So if we decide not to go through with that DOT grant, which we're gonna try to do, but if for some reason we don't do
Why
that,
are you looking at me?
if some reason we don't do that, we'll go back and capture that 80% so that we're reimbursed for that, since that was listed as a project. The 3rd page, number 11, aquatic center improvements. These are major improvements that we've done at the pool. The slide was in there a few years ago, if you remember. This year, pool paint was very expensive. They repainted the pool, skylight repairs, and a new water heater replacement. So those are all eligible to be TIFs. So all those items total up to that $316,521. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Jane, just a quick question here from Kyle. I'm assuming, was it something that was handed out?
Yeah, it was in the council drawer to be included in the packet. It didn't get included for some reason, so I apologize. I do have a copy here for you, Kyle, and I can scan it in and email it to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I just want to
Yeah.
double check and make sure I wasn't missing something.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
Julie and I take responsibility for that, as we assembled some stuff in Jane's absence, so.
That's fine. Sorry about that.
I'm guessing the previous mayor would have caught that and probably reminded you guys maybe one of the airport meetings. So then we probably need a motion to approve this.
For submission.
I'll motion. Second.
Motion by Rudolph, second by Kroger.
Roll call, Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item E is review the noise variance permit for Shelby County Speedway for the Tiny Lund Night coming up on Speedway the 23rd, which carries over into the 24th. Looks like they went from like 10 p.m. on that night into 2 a.m. Are they having a concert again, or is it just races that night?
I believe there's some music following.
After the races?
Yeah, based upon the growth of that the last few years, and certainly this year with the redesign of the track for any later races. That's why they made the request. City Hall hasn't received any complaints, or I've not, in past years. Certainly brings many people from out of town to the community, promotes our speedway. Unless you all have concerns or complaints, staff has reviewed this and would support this request once again. One additional item I'll add is the race promoter and one of the other sponsors there, this may appear on next agenda, is the afternoon of this event, and possibly to talk with your office, Todd, maybe not. They considered bringing some stock car race cars up to the square in the afternoon to host an event for the afternoon, just for the public to come and see and walk around, visit some of the downtown businesses. They've not fulfilled the permit request yet, but they may be requests very similar to Roar in the Harlan, in which they would look to occupy one or two sides of the square for a few hours in the afternoon.
So they do it, is it a 2-day event then?
It's always,
23rd, 24th, is that?
it's, racing Friday night and Saturday night.
Okay.
And they have separate purses for both nights, and then of course there's usually some type of a special purse if you win your class both nights. So they will have some entertainment after the Friday night event that we go into for Saturday morning. One of the cool things, and I haven't heard yet from Doug if they're going to actually be able to get it done this year, but we had a gentleman from Nebraska reach out to our office. He has one of Tiny's cars. So they might actually bring one of Tiny's cars down. Now that would be down to the Speedway, not downtown, but for people to be able to do. And then I don't know if you've seen it, but floating around out on social media right now, I believe it was Michelle from the radio station who was the first one. But there's actually a short documentary on Tiny London that's running through social media right now. So hopefully that'll also get people excited about this weekend. But as Gene was saying, outside of this special event, the growth of the crowds and the car counts and everything down at the race track this year have been phenomenal. And so they're really expecting a good group to show up for this weekend.
So this covers the first night, not the second night, then they're doing their whatever.
It'd be for both evenings, 23rd and 24th.
Okay. Did it say that, I guess,
I think it
carry
was
over
on the
from 10 to 2?
application.
Did it say in the application it was going to
Yeah,
be Friday
23rd.
night and Saturday night?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay. So they're having an event, something after the Saturday night racing, then 2?
I think that's their larger car count night,
Okay.
and then Friday night, and Thanksgiving night would be the music.
Okay. Is there any motion to approve this?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second.
Motion by Lindberg, second by Peterson.
Roll call Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to city administrator's report.
Run down a few updates and items. Hope everyone enjoyed a wonderful holiday weekend, and crazy to think we're already into September, which means fall's approaching. Depending upon which regional football team you might support, based upon last weekend's performance, depending on who you root for, you might be really excited or somewhat questioning what the rest of the season holds, and the Cy-Hawk rivalry for this Saturday should be quite interesting, to say the least. I know, I think we're discussing here at City Hall to have a little tailgate here in the City Hall Friday to lead up to Saturday's game, so a little fun social time and some food. So if you're around Friday over lunch hour or anytime, I guess stop in, and there'll be a few items for tailgating. On to some updates, just pass along. Todd might mention this too, so I'm not trying to steal his thunder. Yet at our last council meeting, we had Dr. Barnett from the school here, and just a reminder for us as well as the community as a whole that an important vote coming up next Tuesday, so a week from today. You can actually vote absentee ballot through next Monday at the auditor's office. Again, that's for the bond issue for facilities improvements at all of the complex up at the school. Our street work is complete for at least Our overlay work is complete, did get completed all of 7th Street and Lincoln. Due to some overages, we did scale back on getting Morning View done, as well as some patches on Cyclone. We'll look to include that with our large USDA project next year. In fact, we're meeting with that engineer tomorrow to rescope the project for next year for that larger work. But hats off to the street team and getting that done. So if you've driven those at least new 18 blocks, it's always nice to ride on that new surface. A few areas where we're working with the contractor to ensure that some radiuses and things that maybe the rollers didn't get things rolled out quite completely. We're having to do some sealing, and we'll ask for, be sure that's adjusted and reflected on our bill, but overall the project went well. In your packet included the tree commission met a week ago, Friday actually. Seems like a week ago already. I'm looking at Gina, so she graciously extended her 1 year on that commission as that seat was vacated. But compared to the year previous, we generally have 1 to 2 tree commission, and that's looking at dead or diseased trees in the right-of-way or public space. A year ago, that list was 50 plus. This is not including ash trees. That's another, which I want to comment on this. This year, that list was 11. In the past year, between our contractor that will hire out the more dangerous or larger trees, or through our own team, there were over 50 trees removed in last year as well. The ash trees, we know emerald ash borer, or EAB, is definitely present here, has been in Shelby County for quite some time, and don't have to look very far in our community to see the number of ash trees. And so we started with 333 trees, ash trees in the public right-of-way and parks. That's now down to 289, give or take. Probably, they're getting back on them tomorrow. What we anticipate is over the next 5 years is to be able to address all those ash trees in our right-of-way. We've talked to the DNR and let them know all the way between our GIS mapping that we have the trees identified, that we have the stock for people interested if they want to replant trees. So we've made those available through our Trees Forever group this spring, and we'll do it again this fall. And also confirm with them that unless that ash tree is showing other signs of rot or decay or other hazard issues, that structurally in the trunk itself is actually good for a number of years. So we're addressing the most egregious, or we'll say the real dead ones in the public right-of-way, and get to those as time permits. But it will take a few years to address all the ash trees. But the other non-ash trees, we've made significant progress. And I believe of that group of 11, I think it was included in your minutes, but was 5 or 6 were approved
That sounds about right.
for removal, not counting the ash trees. So just an update for you on that. Also in your packet, and also airport project update on the taxi lane project. So included those pre-construction minutes, and as of a week and a half ago, the contractor did start. That's Bluffs Paving, and once again, it'll be addressing about 2/3 of the taxi lane areas. And the other exciting piece of that is a temporary access was granted from the DOT, and it required a small change order. That change order was approved by the FAA, and our local portion of that we've got approximately $1,100. So we had a no-brainer for the project, and as I go by this morning, that they got that in last week, and so they're using that exclusively, so we have no other heavy equipment and no concrete trucks on the other entrance areas of the older asphalt.
So they do that on the north side or the south side?
It's on the north side.
On the north side.
Yeah, and it almost directly lines up with that northernmost taxi lane that goes back to the largest hangar number 9. So if you drive by, you'll see that, and then that will be removed once the project's complete. So it's simply a temporary access and entrance. Once again, it is a 50-day working day project, so expect later this fall. I don't want to say no rain because we need the rain, but if we don't have a lot of precipitation, it should allow for some good progress to be made out there. We'd hope to have in front of you tonight, expect to be the next meeting, is our stream bank stabilization project on Exchange Street. And we reported this out to you as well. That's been delayed a few weeks too. And quite frankly, this is the value to having partners that we work with, firms, consulting firms and engineers that know the ins and outs of things such as the Corps of Engineers, as well as DNR permitting to ensure we checked all the boxes and received approval. So they're ensuring we got proper Corps of Engineer oversight and check the box on that design. I had shared with you, and I just want to share with the public, that received a nice note a week or so ago. I forwarded it out to you, but from a citizen indicating, I doubt it's my voice yet, that they shared appreciation for the radio. I do a short radio review of our council meetings every 2 weeks. And I've heard comments from a few others. Yeah, it's nice to be acknowledged that the public feels like they're getting information. Certainly appreciate our partner at HMU that we broadcast the meetings, the newspaper that provides updates and other key items. But it was nice to receive that early on Wednesday mornings when I do that radio recap. A good investment of time there. Update on our EMS, which is ambulance. Once again, changes are happening there because we know our private ambulance service will, at the end of 2026, or sooner if possible, we'll be looking at a transition there. There continues to be a stakeholder group. A stakeholder group has set up now 2 committees, one looking at finance and the other planning and operations for what likely will be a future public ambulance service. Keep reporting back to you on that. What it looks like is, and I say looks like because there's been no adjustments to agreements, that to support and ensure our private service, which again, small private services have become less and less. You'll see again the large corporate ambulance services, which Midwest Medical and AMR, to name a few. Either you're a large corporate service, you're provided through your public, and be it through a countywide service, a city service, or in some cases done through your various fire departments. So more to come on that. In terms of funding for this year, the City of Harlan, at least towards the current private service, we won't require any funding change, yet I do anticipate, and again, more to come on this, that to be successful through the transition to a full public service is that in the next 1 or 2, probably likely the next 2 budget cycles, we'll need to allocate a few more dollars in our budget. I'll keep reporting out to you on that as a stakeholder group, as well as the current ambulance commission is reviewing these items. And the mayor reached out to you about an upcoming ambulance commission meeting, and still waiting to confirm a final date with our partnership with the hospital towards our current commission. And lastly, if you've been to Pioneer Park, we had a young Eagle Scout that received your approval and our Parks Commission approval towards an additional enhancement to the disc golf area. If you've not been out in the park, all of the posts and pads, I should say pads and posts, are installed. That's what they look like. There's still some final cleanup, removal of forms, and then the solid, I guess the black surface here is where the whole signage will be mounted. So those are still being completed to be applied. That's the final piece. And really, you get a close-up. I didn't quite get this close enough, but you'll see a really nice decorative base at the bottom. So really have turned out nice, and great to have volunteer organizations and young scouts that look to give back, and we've done some other improvement projects in our public space. And it's great when we can support that as well as they support our community. And with that, that's my host of updates. Any comments or questions?
I have
Anyone
one
has?
question.
Yes.
And I know this is Highway 44, but there's some large, it almost looks like round cutouts within the lanes on Highway 44. Do we know what those are and what the plan is to fix those? Because if a motorcycle front tire hits that, somebody's gonna go flying.
Yeah, I've not, maybe possibly, if you've got any update from your team, I believe those are the holes for access for the Mediacom's lines going to the north side.
Actually, Gene, those were
Is that-
cutouts, and
So that's
they
DOT
came in and
space,
they
that's-
actually vacuumed out the soil so they could come down and at least locate utilities for when they were boring their new underground, Mediacom or, yeah, it would have been Mediacom,
I think that's,
for when they were boring so they wouldn't hit the utilities going across, especially our gas line. So they, like I said, they back down, clean out, so they could locate that gas line to make sure they were gonna miss it with the boring machine. So that's part of Mediacom's, I guess.
so are there, I
Repairs.
guess I'm not,
There's.
They're big.
They're big.
They're big.
And there's, I don't know, I counted probably 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Probably at least, yeah, I would say there's
Yeah.
at least 4, and they're probably 12 to 15
Yeah.
inches in diameter.
Like
They
I
could
said,
fill
and
them
they're
up with
deep.
rock, but then I think, that stuff's settled, so.
And they're deep. I mean, there's nothing on top. It's like somebody bored down into it about this far, and it's like an open pit
Right.
for a tire to hit.
Who did-
So I
okay,
just,
well, Joe and I can
just-
communicate, we'll get
Yeah, I
back
could
with the
find out any
contractor.
serious
who the
accidents.
actual contractor was for them that come in and excavated
Yeah.
that. That was part of that project, just so they could,
Thank you for that.
sure. And I meant to send a note earlier and I
Oh,
spaced it off. But thanks for checking into that and thank you for that. Appreciate that.
what else? Any other comments, questions for me?
I'd say the contractors doing our indoor bagging facility did a nice job. It looks like we got a little temporary road, but they put a nice barrier around a tree so they don't take out a tree. I saw that. Like a 10-foot diameter around a tree, about 5 foot high of dirt, it looked like, to protect the tree so they wouldn't hit it. Assuming that's what they're trying to accomplish.
Yep. Yeah, didn't provide an update there, but if you've been down to the JJ area, it appears as though they got most of the concrete poured. So I expect in the next few weeks you'll start seeing some beams going up. And again, all permitting and approvals have been secured there, as well as the direction for their sewer lines where they're connecting has all been approved and signed off, so.
Anybody else for Gene? Okay, thanks, Gene. Under my report, all I have is September every year is a suicide prevention month. So I am going to read the proclamation that comes out, and it's one of those things, it's not the happy, all that kind of stuff that the good things about not just our city, but just our community, world, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm just going to read the proclamation. Hope for the Day's 2022 National Suicide Prevention and Action Month proclamation is September is known globally as Suicide Prevention Month and National Suicide Prevention and Action Month proclamation was created to raise the visibility of mental health and resources and suicide prevention services available in our community. The goal is to start the conversation about mental health and impact the suicide to help destigmatization of conversation and help connect people with the appropriate support services. Whereas according to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death among adults, second leading cause of death among individuals in the ages of 10 and 34 in the United States. More than 48,000 people died by suicide in the United States. This goes back to 2018. I'm guessing they probably, with COVID and all that kind of stuff, they maybe haven't done, and maybe we don't want to know the numbers in 2020 and all that kind of stuff. An average of 132 suicides completed every day. Each and every suicide directly impacts a minimum of 100 additional people, including family, friends, coworkers, neighbors, and community members. City of Harlan, Iowa publicly places its full support behind those who work in the fields of mental health, education, and law enforcement. Global organizations like the Hope for the Day and our local mental health partner, Murtu Medical Center Behavioral Health, serve on the front lines of a war that many still refuse to discuss. as stigma regarding suicide and mental health issues are far too prevalent. We encourage all residents to take the time to understand the importance of mental health education and recognize that taking care of ourselves and others include taking care of mental health. Be resolved that I, the Mayor of Harlan, proclaim the month of September 2022 National Suicide Prevention and Action Month in the City of Harlan, dated on the 6th of September 2022. This is one of those things that we probably don't see it every day. You probably hear about it. It is very, very, very sad. If you have someone, if you've been touched in your life, and I guess I would say hopefully someone would reach out to someone around them. So that's all I have. I don't want a downer for me. But it is something that's we need to be aware of. With that, I would move on to Todd Beline, Shelby County Chamber of Commerce Industry.
Good evening, just a couple of quick date notes for some items that will be coming up this weekend and over the next week. Saturday is going to be the Alzheimer's Association's Walk to End Alzheimer's. It will be held at Pioneer Park. Registration is at 9 and then the walk starts at 10:15. The cool thing about this year is after you get done with the walk, you can go over to Potter's Park and play with a bunch of dogs and cats that want to be adopted and have yourself a good pulled pork sandwich. So a lot happening down at the parks on Saturday. Sunday, starting at 4 o'clock up at the Panama Historic One-Room School Museum, they're going to have a celebration day. So you can go up at 4 o'clock in this kind of tour that the One-Room Schoolhouse will have their museum group there talking about stories about the One-Room Schoolhouse. And then at 5 o'clock across the street, they'll be serving a fundraising meal, and it's just a $10 donation for a very long list of wonderful food items that will be there. So make sure you go up Sunday and have a good meal there. And then finally, as Gene was mentioning, we are in the middle of the voting for the bond issue. If for chance, just for schedules or whatever, there are individuals out there who have not been able to attend an informational meeting yet. There is one more coming up next Monday night. It's at 7 o'clock. It'll be here in Harlan at the First United Methodist Church. If you want to hear more about the bond itself and the things that are going to be done with the money, or if you have questions that you want to ask. And then finally, with school back in full session and everything going on, our office is still hearing a lot of stress about just food insecurities throughout the community. So just a reminder, as these gardens are all starting to pop, I know when I get home tonight, I got about 4 dozen tomatoes to pull off the vines. If you got extras, donate them to West Central. They're flying off the shelves as soon as they get donated. If you have some canned goods, you can donate. There's been that change in the school lunch program where there are no more free school lunches. So there's some families out there that can use some help. So donate to the food pantry. That'll be it for me tonight. Any questions?
Thanks, Todd. Next up, HMU, Joe Ruschenberg.
Hi, everyone. I just got 3 items. Ladies and gentlemen, at the last meeting, we had the bid opening for our 69-line inspection and reporting. Had 3 bids. Osmos Utility Services, $36,591.30. Intech Services, Inc., $28,142.60. And then the low was Expo Group at $17,662.50. That's actually about $10,000 under what the engineers were estimating for that phase of the project. Sounds like at first there was a split between how much they're going to be able to get done as far as inspecting all those poles this year, but kind of the engineer had mentioned that it sounds like this Expo Group wants to get after it right away and try to get all their field work done this fall, and then that report would follow up as far as poles that need to be replaced or treated, follow up that list and then a cost estimate to where we could turn around and then come into probably the next budgeting period, come into a project where we would actually, replace what poles or do what maintenance we have to keep that line up to, any repairs that are needed, I guess. So like I said, that should be moving forward this fall. Item 2 State auditors were in last Tuesday. This is for the re-audit on the sewer landfill billing. They're saying we could have, but maybe not necessarily, don't expect anything until probably end of the year as far as the report. It just kind of depends on how quick it goes, how much time they have. I think they're short-staffed, like everything else. So they probably have kind of an exit meeting maybe towards the end of December, and then hopefully have a report sometime in January. And that's probably kind of worst case, I mean, so maybe if they move along, we'll have something before that. And then lastly, still working on some easements, trying to talk with Todd Larson as far as an easement for the water project, and also with Essentia, easement we need to get from them also to kind of keep that project moving. That's all in process. Any questions for me?
I don't think so.
I agree.
Okay,
Thanks, Joe.
thank you.
Tuesday.
Greg's not here, so.
Flatten up a little bit.
Any questions, comments from the public? The newest member, I guess hasn't been sworn in. We got quite, okay.
No, I'm the new editor.
Newspaper.
Oh,
Beth,
Welcome.
welcome.
we got to meet her today. Josh brought her over and introduced us to our staff, so we're happy to meet you. We're happy you're here.
You came from,
Omaha, Blair. I was the assistant editor in Blair for a bunch of newspapers there, so.
okay.
Yep. First time living in Iowa.
Glad to have you. Yes.
Yeah, welcome to Harlan.
Thanks.
She's the new Bob.
She's the new
My
Bob.
friends, I was like, which Iowa team am I supposed to go for? And they were like, depending on which one I asked, that they had differing opinions. So I was like, maybe I'll buy both shirts and.
You have to come over here Friday and see what we're all
Yeah.
dressed as.
You're far enough over. Nebraska is acceptable too.
Well, I came over Saturday and saw that they were playing the Huskers at the bar here. I was like, sweet. Not that I follow them, but it's something to do.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, seeing no other comments, meeting adjourned.